thought we'd start by looking at what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks rather than you watching me soldering nipples. Not the most exciting phase of the project, but I'm sure you'll agree really important. This is what those silicone hoses look like that I fitted to replace the original piece. So yeah, they're joined under there, but it's all quite neat. They're all clamped up with the new stainless steel worm drive clamps that I bought, Jubilee clips, all the same make. Hopefully they're all pointed in the same direction, so I'm quite pleased with how that looks. And this is how the new throttle cables works out. So this is how we've split it, using the splitter there, and they both loop over and go down through the new adjusters on the back bulkhead, and then they're clamped with the ferrules, which are then looped onto the onto that lever there, which works the throttle. Because of my hand controls on this particular version. Also, I've temporarily mounted my rectifier on there in its location, ready for some wiring to happen between these bits and for me to replace all of this wiring that's down here. But before I do that, I found another little job. I feel like I'm procrastinating from getting up the front end, and that is the exhaust. There's a new issue for me to solve with that. So the exhaust pipe, a bit of a comparison with the original one and the new one. Didn't realise how much of a DIY kit this would be, so I've got all of these spring mounts here that I need to weld on in the correct locations, and then the springs obviously keep the various parts of the exhaust together. That's the old one, so I've got a bit of an idea of where to locate them. Looks a bit of a knobbly, hairy job, doesn't it, really? But quite functional, I suppose. And then I also need to cut these brackets off, or replicate these bits of steel onto here. I've got a plate that needs to go on the side, made of steel, as also to strengthen this one up in the same way as that one is. And obviously cut that one off as well. Also, I've noticed that there's a nice little bit of an angle there on this pipe to direct the exhaust gases in the right direction. So I've got to see what I can do with that, maybe invent something. Possibly worst case, I'd cut that one off, clean it up a lot, and then pop it under there. So that might happen. And then the other snag I've found is with this bracket. So that is the lower mount. That mount there goes on the top of the cylinder head. This lower mount goes on the side of the block. However, the location for the lower mount is just here and there, which that obviously isn't going to fit. And the reason for that is because we've got this pipe here on my new 582, which doesn't seem to exist on the 532. Okay, this is what we got so far. The original triangular bracket I've shaped so it will fit around the hose on the side of the block, and also allow my battery cable to go through and absolutely not cause that to fret as it passes along. So let's just show you that. So that's how it's going to fit crudely. It's not tightened up, but shaped around that pipe so the pipe can't touch it, and also shaped around this battery cable, because if that was to fret through and short out, we'd have a large fire. So the only concern is I've cut quite a bit of strength out of that bracket now. So now I'm going to try and put a gusset just in here at a right angle, just to reinforce that again. So that's my next job. So there's the bracket made up, and then let's see what I can do with the welder. So this is what we've got. Not a bad weld this side. A little less elegant this side, but I'll clean it up, get all the paint off, and I think that'll add quite a bit of strength back into that bracket for that exhaust to mount back onto. So there's the finished article, sprayed up. ready to put back on in the trusty Hammerite, and I'll let that dry off. And there's my shopping list, so I thought I might as well go get some more Lord mounts if I'm going to go to all this trouble. Let's not remove these from the old exhaust. Might as well get myself a nice new shiny pair. So time to fire up the PC and get online. Speaking of shopping lists, I got myself organised. I've got myself a whiteboard in the workshop so I can keep a check on things that I need to do or need to get. The family popped round on the weekend. They're not taking it quite so seriously as I am. Thanks, Liz. That's the new bracket in its place, and there's clearance around the main battery cable to the starter motor, and there's also clearance to this coolant pipe as well. I'm quite careful about that. New stainless steel socket bolt, and then for the top mount, what I've done is I've taken one of the studs off my old 532, because these are long bolts. I've screwed that in. What I'm going to do next is to secure that down with some of this Dow Corning 736 that Finbar recommended, because the coolant can seep up around these threads around here. So that's just to keep that down in, and then there'll be a bolt that will go down through here which will secure the exhaust top mount. So that's the plan. I think those nuts torque up to 7 Newton meters. So that's the next job. I've been making these steel brackets to replicate these ones on the old exhaust, and they're shaping up. So let's just clean them up a little bit with a bit of wet and dry. Progress update. Starting to fit these new metal plates. Trying to get things all in exactly the same place as the old pipes is a little bit tricky, but I'm just going to spot weld everything on and see how it all lines up. I've got a few holes to drill to get things to match. These turned up today from P&M Aviation. They are the same thickness as the original mounts, but a little bit lighter. So there's a little bit more give in these than the old ones, which feel like they've got no give in them at all. So I'm going to fit these and see how the whole thing looks when it lines up. But eye-wateringly expensive, but P&M Aviation were the only people I could find that sell anything like that. This evening I got reason to celebrate. This has taken me probably 2 weeks of evenings fiddling and trial and error, and it's finally all in place. Only loosely. I've got to go around now that I have finally got it all to fit and properly weld it. It's just tacked in place at the moment, but there it is. I feel like I've really turned a corner with it. This has been a bit of a struggle. One thing I found was there's so many pieces that articulate with this when you're trying to get all these brackets to line up. So a major tip, before you bother welding all of these spring mounts in place, wind some tape round and just hold things in place lightly, and then start to offer up your spring mounts and your brackets. And then once I've got the springs on, I did the bottom bracket, and then I've just tied this top one in and got that in place as well. So it's all tucked in a lot closer than it was before, so I'm hoping that's going to be fine. This exhaust, I'm going to angle it slightly so the fumes miss the rad, but hopefully that's moved the centre of gravity in a little bit tighter and kept the silencer out the wind a little bit more. So pleased with that. I can go to Riyadh this weekend knowing that the exhaust is done.